Hey everyone, it's Schmuckles. It's been a long time since I posted last. I've gotten a ton of really insane perk leaks that I'm going to talk about today. Just an FYI, I'm live on Twitch right now streaming the Dredge gameplay. Chapter 24 is live right now on DBD live servers, and I've made the decision that I want to be a Dredge main. The link to my Twitch is in the description below. The Stranger Things petition that we talked about in the last video has reached 25,000 signatures. That's a completely insane amount of people in a short amount of time. I'd highly recommend signing this petition if you want Stranger Things back in Dead by Daylight, as well as Season 4 characters from Stranger Things in DBD. It's completely free and really easy to sign. The link for the petition's in the description below if you haven't signed it already. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want videos like this recommended to you by YouTube. I say this every leak video, these leaks are not 100% confirmed. They seem pretty real to me though. Okay, so I got an email by somebody who goes by the name of Jeff Johansson. The email said sneak peek of things to come. I found 4 perks, 2 killer and 2 survivor. There's no flavor text however. And actually we don't know exactly when these perks are coming into the game. I just received an email full of perk leaks. These are perks that are not in Dead by Daylight yet, and I can only assume that these are perks that are in the works right now. The first perk is Dark Obstruction. Kicking a generator will cause the entity to block it for 10 seconds. For each unique hooked survivor, the length the generator is blocked is increased by 3, 4, and 5 seconds. So at tier 3, Dark Obstruction will be able to block generators for up to 30 seconds. That's a pretty interesting killer perk, and it's kind of encouraging killers not to tunnel, obviously. It's going to reward them for every unique survivor that's been hooked. The second perk is Scourge Hook Enfeeble Execution. At the start of the trial, 4 random hooks are changed into Scourge Hooks. The ores of the Scourge Hooks are revealed to you in white. Each time a survivor is hooked on a Scourge Hook, the following effect applies. All survivors will be inflicted with the Oblivious status effect until the hooked survivor is unhooked. The status lingers for 8, 9, and 10 seconds after the survivor is unhooked. And the Oblivious status effect means that survivors are not going to hear a terror radius. So right after a survivor is hooked on the Scourge Hook, all survivors are not going to be able to hear the terror radius until this person's unhooked. I'm not sure if there's a cooldown for this or if this is literally every time a survivor is hooked on a Scourge Hook. If this is a real perk that's coming into Dead by Daylight, that's pretty crazy, and I don't know what it's going to do to Hex Plaything. Like, it almost seems like a better version of Hex Plaything because it's not totem bound. And just in general, every survivor is going to be affected by this too. If you're running this perk with Barbecue and Chili on the Dredge and you hook a survivor on a Scourge Hook, you can see where everybody is and then teleport right to them, and they're not going to hear you coming. This perk seems pretty crazy in the right hands to optimize some of the killer powers out there. It looks like there's a task-driven part to the perk too. I'm not sure if this is part of this perk or the next perk. After a generator is completed, gain a 25% haste status effect and see the aura of the generator with the most progress for 12 seconds. For each time a generator gets completed, once task-driven is activated for the first time, the duration is extended by 2, 3, and 4 seconds. So there's your answer right there. Task-driven is a different perk. Just to be clear, if there's 2 killer and 2 survivor perks, I think that this is a survivor perk. So you get a little bit of a haste status effect after you complete a gen as a survivor, I think. And I believe that this is actually a survivor perk, so instead of going 4 meters per second, you're going to go 4.5 meters per second, so you're going to be faster than some killers in the game. You're going to be 0.1 meters per second slower than the fastest killers in Dead by Daylight, without using their powers, of course. That seems really strong, and again, these leaks are not really confirmed, but that seems like it'd be really overpowered. Just imagine like 4 survivors running this perk. Every time a generator is completed, the chases come to almost a complete halt. Like, the killer's not going to be able to get any pressure out for the next 12 seconds. I don't know, it's kind of sus, because that seems like a really strong perk to me. The other survivor perk is Defensive Nature. While on a chase, Defensive Nature activates. Survivors within 10 meters of you will have their bleeding, scratch marks, and grunts of pain suppressed. This effect lingers for 10, 12, and 15 seconds. Defensive Nature deactivates once the chase ends. Okay, a couple things about this perk. It's usually 9, 12, and 15 seconds, right? Like, usually when you have these kinds of numbers in DBD, they're all divisible by 3. So that seems kind of suspicious to me, not gonna lie, but this was just the information that I was given. This is directly from the email. Maybe it's a typo, maybe it's a troll. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If these leaks are real, we're not sure which chapters that these perks are coming in with. So do we think that these are Resident Evil-like perks, or characters from Resident Evil would make sense with these perks? Because remember, we're expecting 6 survivor perks and 3 killer perks coming with that Resident Evil chapter. So would they be putting Scourge Hooks on a Resident Evil chapter? We did see Hex Plaything, which is a Hex Totem on Pinhead, which is a licensed character. And we did see a Scourge Hook with Sadako, so I'm pretty sure that means they can have Scourge Hooks with licensed characters. I'm not really sure which chapter these perks are associated with. So the title of this video is New Perk Leaks, when actually this might be like Resident Evil perk leaks, but I'm not 100% sure. The email also does say there's a new survivor status effect called Disoriented. This is going to be a status effect used for an upcoming killer power. DBD leaks leak that there's a new item for survivors linked to Wesker's power called Infection Remover. It should be obvious what it does. So that would kind of imply that Wesker's going to come in with a power that's going to kind of infect people. So do we think that this new survivor status effect Disoriented is going to come with Wesker, or for a future killer that's not Wesker? And what exactly is Disoriented going to do to survivors? Disoriented means having lost one sense of direction, or confused and unable to think clearly. To me, this kind of sounds like the Nightfall ability with the Dredge. Like, if it's really dimmed, you kind of lose your sense of direction, like which way you're going, because it's literally too dark to see. I don't really know know how else they could mess with survivor senses. Is it possible that Albert Wesker will be able to infect survivors and make them have this disoriented status effect, which is only curable with the vaccine or the infection remover? I'm not really sure. This email doesn't really clarify if it's coming in with Wesker or with a killer after Wesker. So in general, we've had the status effect leaked in these 4 perks as well. Time will tell if Jeff Johansson is a reliable source too. We're going to see these perks come into the game probably during year 7 if this is true. There's also a buff for these survivor perks with no exact date. These are some of the lesser used survivor perks. Most of these are pretty weak. I don't see any like super crazy meta perks. Self-care, if used correctly, can be really strong, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of buff comes for that. I bet a lot of these are going to be like really minor tweaks, especially if the perk's kind of on the fence for if it's good or not. For example, Lucky Break is not that good, but if you made it any stronger, it'd probably be like kind of OP. So I reckon for a lot of these perks, it's going to be like little tiny tweaks as opposed to like crazy giant reworks. There's buffs coming for these killer perks, which is kind of crazy to see. I don't know if they're going to make Strider counter Iron Will again, but that's on the list right there. Lethal Pursuer might be kind of interesting if they add more time to that, but pretty much your guess is as good as mine for what's coming for these perk buffs. And the email also specifies a lot of perks are getting nerfed as well. There were also new offerings leaked to me too. There's this secret survivor rare offering called Vigo's Notes, and it's actually mistyped here, so I'm not quite sure what to make of that, but apparently this offering is going to call upon the entity to spawn you in the main building. There's also a universal ultra rare offering called All Seeing Eye. It'd be kind of a dud for a survivor to run this offering. It calls upon the entity to reveal all secret offerings. It doesn't really specify if it's a survivor or killer offering, but it does say universal. It'd be kind of useless for a survivor to be running this offering, right? These are the secret offerings for survivors, and these are the secret offerings for killers. So I guess it'd be kind of interesting if the killer got to see which offerings are being played when they're supposed to be a secret. There's also another universal very rare offering called Blind Eye. It calls upon the entity to hide all offerings, and it says that it's universal, but this has got to be a survivor offering, right? It only makes sense to run this as a survivor, right? If this is actually an offering that's coming into the game, you'll be able to hide like hatch spawns, basement spawns. You'll also be able to hide if you're running a white ward. Kind of interesting. The email does say, I do not know when these offerings will be released, but they will be coming into the game soon. The email also said, I have found text for a perk. However, there's no name for the perk and a name for a perk, but no text. The name of the perk looks like it's moral support, and the text for the perk, which I don't know if these two things are associated or if they're different perks. It says at the beginning of the trial, and each time a generator is completed, the obsession will scream and have their aura revealed to you for 10 seconds. It will suffer the incapacitated and oblivious status effects for 15, 20, and 25 seconds. If the obsession finishes healing, cleansing, unlocking, or opening exit gates, they will have their aura revealed to you for 10 seconds. So it looks like the obsession is going to be screaming right at the beginning of the trial based on how this is worded. That's kind of everything I have for like perk and offering leaks, and again, I'm not 100% sure that this is true. Jeff Johansson also said, I found a perk icon. I do not know which perk is associated with the icon. And there's this icon right here. A lot of times when licensed survivors come into the game, their perks have pictures that look like them on the perk icon itself. So on one side of the coin, you could maybe argue that this is not a licensed perk, but to me, honestly, this looks more like a killer perk. Like it looks like that survivor could be oblivious or screaming. It almost looks like tier 3 madness from the doctor or something like that. And if this is a perk that's coming for a licensed killer, it kind of makes sense for it to be a generic looking survivor. So it's kind of anyone's guess when this perk is coming into the game. I think it's high odds that it's a killer perk though. Jeff also said, I found something. I don't know if this is a mistake or what, but the jewelry add-on for Myers appears to be green. There's also another add-on for Myers that is simply blank, this one being uncommon. I think that Myers is getting an add-on pass. Take this with a grain of salt. This could be just a mistake. That's pretty much all the information that I have for you right now. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Time will tell if this is true or not. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Do you think that this is true? What do you think about these perks that were emailed to me here? And reminder, I'm live on Twitch right now streaming the release of chapter 24. The link for that is in the description below. All right, that does it for this video. Goodbye.